Good morning. Welcome to Adolescent Anthony. Today we're going to have a type of conversation. For those that are new to the channel, it will be mental health conversation content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being. However, in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about understanding paranoia, how to manage suspicion, and unfounded fears, right? So jumping off rip, we're going to be talking about some research, right? So excessive suspicion and unfounded fears are linked to heightened stress and anxiety, right? So learning to reality check thoughts and regulate emotions improves mental well-being, right? So, feeling conscious can protect you, but constant suspicion can exhaust you, right? So I don't want you guys feeling burned out, tore from the floor up, right? So I want to be able to make a video to be able to help us get that emotional well-being back. So stick with me, grow with me, and we're going to be able to navigate throughout this video, right? So first segment, we're going to be talking about what paranoia really is, right? So first key concept, right, we're going to be talking about more than caution, right? So paranoia involves persistent mistrust and fear without clear evidence, right? So our mind's spiraling and trying to figure out what's going on. It's in paranoia mode, and it's not too much evidence that is displayed, but our mind is it's overthinking, right? Next, we're talking about stress driven, right? So heightened stress and anxiety can increase suspicion thinking. We also have thought patterns, right? So paranoia, in regards to those thoughts, often come from misinterpreting situations, not facts, right? So you're overthinking, you're overstimulating your mind, you're putting it in override mode, but there's not facts that is tangible for you to really have, that real suspicion. However, it's just misinterpreting that information. Next is going to be that not a personal failure, right? So experiencing paranoia doesn't mean that someone is weak or broken or you're a bad person. These are just something that we really want to take in consideration to really get some type of understanding, so we're able to navigate this proactively and avoid that self-sabotage of letting your internalized dialogue in regards to your thoughts deter you and tear you down, right? So I don't want you to be taught from slow up. I don't want you to be burned out. I don't want your mind overworking when it don't need to be, right? I want you to have that relaxed conduciveness so you can have calmness, peace of mind that we can't put a dollar amount on, and that can be able to help us navigate in our lives, right? So next segment, let's dive into how paranoia affects that mental health, right? So we have constant alert mode, right? So overgoing that suspicion that keeps the brain in stress response, in stress mode, right? It's overworking itself. We have that emotional exhaustion, the hypervigilance. You're looking left, you're looking right, always trying to look and perceive things to see what's really going on, right? Can lead to that anxiety, irritability, and even that, like I said, that burnout, which is keeping us at a low vibration where we don't want to be, right? This all affects our mental health. We have strain in those relationships, right? So mistrust can damage communication and connection, right? So this can make us move towards that isolation and loneliness because it's affecting our mental health and affecting how we engage with other people. We have reduced focus, so fear-based thinking interferes with concentration and daily functioning, right? So how are we able to perform well at school, for instance, someone that's going through this? How can we perform? How can we focus? How can we get these assignments and academically, do well when we have this fear-based thinking that's interfering with our concentration, right? So this is affecting our mental health in addition to our learning and our abilities. We have in our third segment, we're going to be talking about common triggers, right, of the paranoid thinking, right? So we have high stress and that fatigue, right? So sleep loss, we have overload increases the fear-based thoughts, right? So it's just the mind is just fatigued, but it's overworking itself because it's just trying to think and rationalize what's going on. However, this is just the paranoia way of thinking. We have past experiences, right? So previous betrayal or harm can heighten the suspicion. We have social pressure, right? So feeling judged or excluded can fuel paranoia as well, right? So that's why it's always important to take in consideration, treat people like you want to be treated. You don't know what someone else has got going on. You don't know their previous experiences. You don't know the betrayal, the harm, and things that they had to endure, right? So I want us to take this in mind as we're engaging with other people out there in the world, right? Because these are things that people have going on in their body, in their mind, and this definitely is impacting their health and their mental health. So I want us to have more empathy in regards to people out there. But if you're going through this yourself, this is totally fine. It's okay. And we're able to navigate through this proactively. So stick with me. We also have uncertainties, right? So we have lack of information that often leads to the brain to fill gaps with that fear, right? So moving towards the strategies, let's dive into the strategies, you feel me? To manage, the suspicion and the fear, right? Off rip, we have to give ourselves that reality check, right? Our thoughts. Some of our thoughts are real, some of our thoughts are false, right? So we gotta be able to be in tune on what's really going on, right? So ask for the evidence, right? Before believing the fearful assumptions, right? Let's look for the tangible evidence. Is this true or is this what? Is this false? Slow down the stress response, right? So by doing deep breathing, by having the meditation, by having the mindfulness, right? In those grounding, calming exercises can be able to help the nervous system regulate to kind of help us, our brain from being in override mode, right? Got to keep ourselves calm. Next is going to be name the emotion, right? So identifying, the fear, right, can reduce that intensity, right? So that's why I always advocate for journaling, writing these things down. Get yourself a pencil, paper, of your preference, and really proactively write down what's going on, your emotions, how you feel, etc., etc. So you're able to have a tracking of this. Let's say this has been going on for 3-4 months, right? And you didn't write nothing down, you're going to be going through it. But if you're able to have a proactive way of writing this stuff down, you're able to track these things and see the consistency of, like, this is causing a disruption towards my well-being. I'm not jacking this, and my emotions are what? They're consistent. So we're able to really have identifying the fear to reduce this intensity over a course of time. Next is going to be limit the over-interpretation, right? So not every action has a hidden meaning, right? So life be life and things just be happening sometimes. So we don't always have to be putting a name or, giving too much energy into that, right? So you don't always got to be overdoing it, right? I want to take that in consideration to manage the suspicion and the fear. Next segment, we're going to be talking about rebuilding the trust and the emotional balance, right? So we have to start small, right? Make things more manageable, more achievable for us, right? We're already dealing with things already being overwhelming, or just it's already enough that we're dealing with, right? So start small, right? So gradual trust building, feels safer than all or nothing thinking, right? So, that black and white thinking, I want us to be moving towards more optimism, be more open-minded, allowing ourselves to gradually be more vulnerable, like starting small, and then we're trying to open up, right? But moving forward, we're going to be talking about healthy communication, right? So clarifying misunderstandings, reduce suspicion, right? So asking questions, advocating for yourself, speaking up, right? And asking for that clarity can really be helping you in that healthy communication to know what's going on instead of allowing your mind to overthink. Next, we're going to be talking about, support systems matter, right? So you got to realize that isolation and that loneliness, may not be good for us, right? So we need to be able to have that proactive support to be able to help us look into those reality checks, right? So trusting people to be able to help us do that reality check and, avoiding that fearful mindset can be able to help us proactively moving forward. Next, that I find really important is that professional support helps, right? So counseling improves, coping with the persistent paranoia thoughts. So if you're having those thoughts, you want to really be able to not just watch videos and do research and just find things on your own, but really do the work with a professional. Really allow them to help you assess what's going on, build those coping skills with you, right? And do a tracking and, this accountability partner that's not going to judge you. That's really going to be here for you. And that's really going to be able to support you as you need with that support and that help. But, we can't get that help if we're not advocating for ourselves. We can't get that help if we're isolating ourselves. We can't get that help if we're, not confronting our reality. We're letting our thoughts just kind of take over and we're just, we're just ruminating and not, Like, I really want us to get that support. So I'm advocating for you to get the courage, find the effort. You do matter, and doing whatever it takes to make sure that you get the support so you get back to, where you need to get. Could really be beneficial for you, right? So I want to see you thriving. I want to see you doing what you got to do. So please build that trust and rebuild that emotional balance by seeking that support, please. So just coming to a close, right? So choosing understanding over that fear, right? So let me talk about some research before we wrap up, right? So managing stress improves, right, your thought of awareness, strengthening, trust in regards to the paranoia related distress, coping skills as well as we address, seeking that support to be able to help and protect that long-term mental health well-being, right? So fear isn't just about, distorted reality. It's about understanding what brings clarity and calm. So, although you're having these thoughts, although you're having been mistrusted, and you went through these different situations, trauma, right? And you're having situations that may not be true, right, in regards to your thinking patterns, right? But we're still able to gain more clarity. We're able to get more calmer by focusing on mindfulness, focus on what helps us stay grounded, we're focusing on what gives us that peace of mind, right? And proactively doing this consistency is going to help us down the line, right? If you found this video was beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share if possible, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay blessed.